Hi, Andy XL back with another NFXL podcast, and this is my 2026 NFL Draft post combine rankings. So, following the 2026 Draft Combine, I'm now really going to focus in on what the upcoming draft. Just 45 days until it takes place, and here is an update on who the leading contenders are ahead of the draft. I will do this by position and let you know where the contenders stand on my own current big board. And basically, these are the top 250 prospects. Um, right now, that's of 9th of March. It's a constantly moving feast, so I'll update it on a regular basis, probably daily. Now, so you might see changes in that. But right, we're talking quarterbacks here. So I've said all along this is a substandard draft class at quarterback. And whilst the combine rarely tells us anything greatly about quarterbacks, it's more the pro days and when teams get sit down and meet with quarterbacks and judge their characters and their knowledge of the game, their strategical nous, leadership qualities, all of that. That we tend to get more whispers about who's going to do well and who's not going to do well in the draft. So, like I say, the combine, the athletic stuff doesn't really tell us very much. So, my opinion about the quality of this class remains unchanged. It's really not a great class, I don't think. And there are at most 9 teams that I can see that have a need at quarterback, those being Arizona, Atlanta, Cleveland, Las Vegas, possibly the LA Rams, Miami, Minnesota, the New York Jets, and Pittsburgh. So they're the teams that might have a need at quarterback. And then you've got, I can just roll off 11 people that teams might look to make a trade move or a free agency move for, namely Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Aaron Rodgers, Malik Willis, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Snoop Huntley, and Andy Dalton. So they're alternatives to drafting a quarterback that teams can look at. And as I say, I can see a real low year for quarterbacks in the draft, both in terms of how early they go and how many get taken. Because this really teams might look at those names I've just talked at and say they're a better option for me right now than taking a really risky early pick on one of these draft candidates. So you could see a few go in the later rounds, but I'm worried that the teams will see that those current NFL quarterbacks are a better option than the draft candidates. Waffling on here. Following the release of Geno Smith by the Raiders, they seem even more certain now to take Fernando Mendoza with the first overall pick. It is possible one of the other quarterback needy teams reaches for the second quarterback from this class late in round one, but I think it is more likely we see 2 or 3 go on day 2 to fill those spots. That's what I personally would do. Outside of Mendoza, I wouldn't look at anybody else in round one. Now, like I said, there are some teams there. They may well use a late round one pick or seek to trade up into it even, but I think that would be a wrong move. Um, so as I say, I would more likely see 2 or 3 go on day 2 to fill those spots, then another 3 or 4 going in rounds 4, 5, and 6, before maybe a couple of teams take what I would refer to as Brock Purdy style punts on seventh rounders, hoping to strike gold, appropriate for the 49ers. But if we see teams get active in free agency or via trades in the coming weeks to fill those quarterback needs, all those not named Fernando Mendoza could drop considerably in my overall big board rankings ahead of the draft. Um, right now, it is only the Raiders, Dolphins, Jets, and Steelers who do not have a truly viable starting quarterback on their rosters. As I said, the Raiders are going to put Mendoza in there. The Dolphins would have Quinn Ewers. The Jets, yeah, just a mess. The Steelers, Mason Rudolph. So you know what I'm saying. So Mendoza would tick off the need for the Raiders. So what the Dolphins, Jets, and Steelers do or do not do in the next few weeks will change when the likes of Simpson, Nussmeier, and Beck in particular go. Although Drew Aller has an outside chance of joining that group to be one of the top four quarterbacks taken in this draft. Cade Klubnik looks more like round one material that teams may see as being decent backup material. Um, Taylor Green had a great combine athletically, but he's far from the levels required as a passer. Anthony Richardson's name's come up as a comparison. Yeah, great athlete, good runs for fun, but the passing. So, uh, you know, he needs to improve his levels required to be a passer in the NFL. But he is one team maybe willing to take a two-way mid-round punt on, either as somebody they can coach up as a passer, or due to his undoubted athletic qualities, I still think there's a possibility that he might seek to turn him into a wide receiver or a tight end at the next level. Tim Tebow comes to mind there. Um, didn't work that one, but you know what I'm saying. Cole Payton has moved up in the last month or so from an undrafted free agent type into a late round small school development project. I like Sawyer Robertson, but he would be a late round pick with possible upside, whilst Jaden Daniels and Luke Altmaier are final round undrafted free agent types and dropped out of my list from the previous pieces I've done like this. Um, is the guy that I'm trying to, his name's just slipped out my head. Oh, how annoying is that? Diego Pavia. Yes, how can he slip out of my head? He's not going to let anybody forget him. Um, right. So here are my top 11 quarterbacks with their big ball positions right now. Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana at 1. Ty Simpson out of Alabama, 51. Garrett Nussmeier of LSU. He's moved up a little bit. Seems to have come out the combine with some positive vibes. So he might have well impressed some coaches there. He's at 70. Carson Beck of Miami at 83. Drew Aller, as I say, is pushing towards joining that group. He's at 108, so he's trying to get into day two contention. Then we have a drop off to Cade Klubnik of Clemson, who's at 168. Taylor Green of Arkansas at 178. Cole Payton of North Dakota State at 193. Sawyer Robertson, Baylor 207. Jalen Daniels, Kansas 243. And Luke Altmaier of Illinois at 246. So you can see the kind of shape there that we might see Mendoza on day one, 2 or 3 on day two, then maybe one in round 4 even before we get a busy round 5. Then 6 and 7 may see 1 or 2 or 3 go. So that's the quarterback picture right now as I see it. Next up, I'll do the same piece for running backs, and that'll probably come out tomorrow. So I'm going to try and no, I'll do it later today. Go on, I'll spoil you. I'll do it later today. So that will be coming out soon. See you later.